Hey, this is Death Valley Junction, and back in the railroad's time, from 1907 till 1939, when the railroad was operating and taking borax out of the surrounding mountains, the railroad had their office here, and we're actually in the room that the railroad used as their payroll and banking. And Marta Beckett's Opera House, as it was known today, was the conference hall for the railroad and the mining company, and also for dances on Saturday night. And they also had a hotel, doctor's office, market, and whatever people needed to live out here in the desert. This is Death Valley's engine house, the aluminum building here. That was used by the Death Valley Railroad for their minor repairs that they had for their railroad, because they only operated between the Ryan mine and here. They couldn't go anywhere else. And the trestle we're coming to here is where they run the narrow gauge cars up on the trestle, unloaded them, processed ore, and put it in burlap sacks and into Santa Fe box cars for shipment south. They ended up at Ludlow, where they railheaded with the Santa Fe. And in the background, there's the graveyard from this area, and it's still out there today. The tailings that are still visible in the desert here, the buildings are all gone, but the tailings from the borax process is still visible today. And the other thing that's still standing is the 2 water tanks in the background. The rest of it is all gone. Then as we go 15 miles further down the track from Death Valley Junction, we come to a section gang housing where they kept an eye on the 15 miles of track going to the north and 15 miles of the track going towards the south, towards Shoshone. They had a siding there with supplies and some extra ties and rails. They did not have any water at Evelyn, so they had to bring water in the tank cars, which you see behind the locomotive, hauled fresh water, and they filled a cistern so they had water to drink and cook with and take a bath. Some of the areas along the route did not have water, so they had haul water. Most of the area, like Death Valley Junction, Shoshone, and Tacopa, all had artesian water running. And the swimming pool here was, the remnants of it is still there, and it was a wooden, built out of wood, and it was fed by an artesian spring. And not only did they swim there, but they had fish in there, so you could actually catch fish out of there for a fresh fish dinner. And the schoolhouse behind it was a converted boxcar, and they used it, it was right along the side of the tracks, and they used it as a schoolhouse. So then we're coming to the south end of Shoshone, and still there today. It's called Griswold Gulch, and some of the permanent people, to stay cool in the summer, lived in tunneled out areas in the mountain, and it was cool there in the summer. The temperature stayed around 75 degrees, and also to get out of our windy or cold weather in the wintertime, it still stayed 75 degrees in there. And then as we go a little further to the south, the remnants of the cattle yard where they held cattle brought in by a cattle car, they butchered the beef and hogs as needed because they didn't have the refrigeration back then, and so they were not grazed in the area naturally. They were just held there and fed until they needed them for food.